G'day and welcome to the National Virtual Expo. I'm your host for this session, Rob Malicki. I'm coming to you today from Gadigal Land in Sydney. I pay my respects to the traditional custodians of this magnificent land on which I live and work. Super pumped to be joined by Jamie from Griffith University. Jamie, welcome to the National Virtual Expo.
Thanks, Rob. So excited to be here. So thanks so much for having us and allowing us to share everything that Griffith has to offer.
And mate, Griffith has got just a heck of a lot to offer. My first visit to Griffith was to the Nathan campus. God, it must be like 20 years ago. And I remember, I spent all my time down in Sydney. I remember driving through this freaking forest, right? Like you drive through this forest of trees and just thinking to myself, where's the uni in amongst all of this? And then you come in and it's just nestled in the forest, and yet you're only like 15 to 20 minutes from the city centre. It's incredible.
Yeah, you're right. It's so close to the CBD, and then when you drive into the bottom of the car park, and you're right. There's just the Toohey National Park in the forest, and there's koalas in the trees. They've just started doing some koala tours on a Sunday. I read a story about that just recently. So yeah, just a nice, very nice fresh air, nice spot to be.
Quite literally, one of my colleagues, Heidi Piper, who I've known for 20 years from Griffith Uni, once in a while she will be posting koala photos on her LinkedIn, being like, look what I saw out my window today. And of course that was my first discovery of Griffith in Brisbane at Nathan. But then I was, fortunate enough to discover Gold Coast, Logan, South Bank. Mate, we've got a heck of a lot to talk about in the next sort of 45 minutes. But maybe I'd like to hone in on like the kind of background of Griffith University. So like where this university kind of came from, because it has kind of given the university a particular flavour, which might help people understand if this is the right institution for them. So do you want to tell us a little bit about, why is Griffith and where did it come from?
Yeah, definitely. Well, 1975 is when the Nathan or Brisbane South campus opened, and I think it really came from that need to offer or have a university that was close to the Brisbane city that offered a range of different degrees, and for a range of students. So what Griffith really we pride ourselves on being that values-based supportive university that is there to really open the doors to people that might not otherwise have opportunities to study at that university level. So it's definitely grown a lot in our 50 years. We've just had our 50th birthday last year. A lot of strong graduates coming out of Griffith. Kate Miller-Heidke, she performed at the party or the celebration last year. So yeah, I think it's built itself on those early foundations, made such a name for itself in that supportive values-based institution.
Yeah, and one of the things, so when I put a post up on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago about Griffith joining the National Virtual Expo, and so I'd been just doing some research, and one of the things that jumped out as me as like an interesting fact was that Griffith, right out of the gate, was one of the first institutions, or the first, to have a dedicated School of Asian Studies. and also a dedicated a school dedicated to the Australian environment. And back in the 70s, I
Mm.
think those are two topics that not very many people would have thought would be as important as they are today. So that sort of
Yeah.
foresight, I feel, is quite extraordinary.
Yeah, you're right. And even now, like the whole idea of that sustainability has weaved its way through all of our degrees. And I know that the MBA program that you offer is from next year has been redesigned with that sustainability natural thought pattern all the way through those courses as well. So it's something that Griffith does pride itself on quite strongly. We've got the Eco Centre operating down at the bottom of the car park as you first
Yeah, Nathan.
drive in, as I said,
Yeah.
with those koala um, tours as well. So yeah, very, very close to our heart and something that we will continue to do forever, hopefully.
So let's dive into the different campuses, because this is one of the, same thing. I went to Griffith for the first time. I'm like, oh, this is Griffith, and then I went to the
Yeah.
Gold Coast, and I'm like, oh, this is Griffith, and then you end up in
Yeah.
South Bank, and you're like, no, this is Griffith. So it's in fact such a diverse institution across its different campuses and footprints. And certainly one of the questions I get a lot on the YouTube channel is like, well, which campus should I go to? So why don't we dive into the different campuses, who they might be for and how people might decide between them. So might leave it to you to pick which order you want to go in.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's okay. Well, I think we'll start at the Nathan campus, which is also known as the Brisbane South campus. That's the campus I'm based at today. Um, it's the original campus. Um, it's where you decide or which campus you'll study at really depends on one, where you're based, where you live, and also what you might want to study, because some of the campuses are specialised in different areas. So at the Brisbane South campus, there's a wide range of degrees, including business, education, engineering. There's a magnificent engineering building, law, nursing, as well as a whole range of other degrees, including aviation. So it's nice and handy if you live in Brisbane itself, or in the outlying suburbs, especially on the south side of Brisbane. Then there's the Gold Coast campus, so it's located in Southport on the Gold Coast. It's actually our biggest campus now, so it's full of those world-class health facilities, and really with that focus on medicine, dentistry, occupational therapy, physio, health sciences. There's that really strong health cohort on the Gold Coast campus, um, beautifully linked up close to the university hospital on the Gold Coast. Um, Transport, all connected really well with the tram system on the Gold Coast. I might mention as well, Nathan campus also transport easy to get to. We've got the new metro buses operating in Brisbane now, so they sort of can get you to the campus nice and easily from the city, and then you just have to join a connecting bus. And then we've also got the South Bank campus. So the South Bank campus, very bright, vibrant campus with the likes of the film school, the creative arts school, also closely linked with the music conservatorium, which is in conjunction with QPAC, the Queensland Performing Arts Centre, and that's really, really that creative hub for Griffith. So different flavours, different university for different degrees. The South Bank campus is actually going to form um, what we're calling the new city campus, which is we're looking forward to the opening of the our brand new city campus from 2027 next year in the old Treasury Casino building, which has a lot of historical value. If anyone knows Brisbane and knows the Treasury building, which was previously a casino in its previous life, this heritage listed building is going to focus on the likes of business, IT, and law, and really start to build those the fresh look and fresh, invigorated industry partnerships and connections as well. And then we've got our Logan campus. It's a smaller, ni quieter campus, with which focuses mainly on nursing, midwifery, and education degrees, located in Meadowbrook in Logan. So if you're living in Logan areas and you're interested in those nursing, midwifery, and education degrees, and you're looking for somewhere nice and quiet to study, then that's definitely a campus, not having to go too far from home to study those degrees. Um, yeah, so that's the campuses that we have on offer. When we're talking of campuses, though, as well, I guess we shouldn't forget the online
Mm.
delivery that we have. Even though it's not a campus as such, there's still so much support and um, so much character around our online offering, because we've just created or started the delivery of what we call our Griffith Go programs, which are online on demand, which allow students to work at their own pace no matter where they live in Australia. So as the years go on, we're adding more and more degrees to that sort of delivery. And the advantage of it is not only is it online on demand, but you can also have flexibility to either speed up your study and go at a faster pace, or slow it down a little bit if you've got those other commitments on, and work at a slower pace. So I think no matter where you live in this southeast corner of Queensland, there is a campus for you at Griffith, depending on what you want to study, whether that's the Nathan, Brisbane South, Gold Coast, South Bank, from the city next year right through to Logan, and also online on demand. So hopefully there's some there's an option for no matter where you are in Australia.
Yeah, awesome.
Very diverse campuses. Yeah.
I'd love to throw my 2 cents worth on the different campuses in just a second, but and firstly,
Mm.
if you want links to all of this, then down below in the session description you'll find links to information about the different campuses. Plenty of info down in the description. And if you're joining us live, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever your chat is, you can ask us a question, and we'll try to get to that by the end. If you're watching this on the replay, we also have the Choosing Your Uni Discord, and a Facebook group just for parents. Same thing, details down in the description. Jump in there. Every single question, regardless of whether that's like deeply specific about you and your experience at Griffith, or if it's really general about going to uni in general, every single question will get an answer. So please feel very comfortable to participate, and we'll get to those for you. Online though, first, Jamie. So are those
Mm.
degrees purely online, or some of those degrees, do they have that kind of, because some online degrees have an in-person component, as part of it?
Mm.
How's it structured?
Yeah, the Griffith Go programs, the online on demand, they're 100% online. So you'll get recorded lectures. The modules are all available to complete in your own time. There are um, there is an online aspect to some of our other degrees, though, that aren't part of the Griffith Go delivery. So if you're looking at some degrees that we have on offer, it shows you that it is available online, that's when, while it's online, it might be that depending on the subject or the course that you're studying at any given time, you may need to join at a certain time, or there might also be the on-campus component attached to it as well. So it might not be 100% online all the time, but whereas our Griffith Go, it's a small amount of degrees that we're starting off with, but as we progress, that over the years we're adding more and more. It's only something that has commenced from last year. So more and more degrees will be added to that online on demand offering as we go along. But yeah, you're right. Some online, not as part of that delivery, will require those face-to-face components, or perhaps have a certain time when you have to log on to attend
Yeah.
a workshop or a lecture.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Let me dive into my thoughts on some of these campuses and which one might suit particular types of students. And while I go, like I've been
Mm.
to all these campuses, I've got some footage, so we'll overlay a bit of footage of these just as I throw in my 2 cents worth. Firstly, South Bank. If you're a creative, regardless of where you are in
Mm.
Australia, Griffith is an institution you should seriously look at, and this South Bank precinct to go and study at. If you're doing film or music in those creative spaces in the heart of Brisbane, like you want to be in the heart of it.
Mm.
It's one of my favourite student cities in all of Australia, Jamie. Brisbane is
Mm.
pumping, and this is just an amazing program as well. So South Bank is for those creative people. City Centre, I can't wait to see when that's open next year. Um, Nathan, if you want to be in Brisbane but a little bit outside, but just have that classic campus experience, you really want to be on a discrete university campus that feels like a university,
Mm.
but in those brilliant, like broad fields, whether it's in, like law or business, or in engineering, there's just so many subjects that are
Mm.
available at Nathan. And if you're the kind of person you want to be amongst the trees, I just love the chilled out vibe, Jamie, of Nathan. I just feel that being amongst the
Yeah.
greenery is so good for your mental health. Um, it feels. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
slow, but it feels like a slower pace of life there. You really do feel like you can study and relax and enjoy your time at that campus. Um,
It
that
does not feel like we are 10 minutes away from the
you
city, I
don't
can
feel it
tell you
at
that.
all.
And, you know, and at lunchtime, just to be able to walk through the forest, like through the beautiful walkways and just the sounds of nature, you do, yeah, I don't know where else you can get that being so close to the city at a university.
Very, very, yeah. It's very rare. Logan, I visited there for the second time actually, last year,
Mm.
and obviously if you're a local in that area, what I love,
Mm.
Jamie, about the story of that is how Griffith just said we need a footprint down in this part of Brisbane. It's growing fast.
Mm.
There's a demand for education, like for to service this community, education, social work, nursing. We need to teach
Yeah.
people here. And so it created that campus explicitly for that. It is the perfect location if you're in that part of the world and you want to work in that part of the world, and those are the subject areas that you're
Yeah.
interested in. It's absolutely perfect. And then Gold Coast, um, Gold
Mm.
Coast, my favorite campus, I must admit. It's got a beautiful vibe. Like it's buzzing. You've got that Gold Coast energy,
Mm.
the beautiful weather,
Mm.
amazing transport links down into the heart of Southport and further down the Gold
Yeah.
Coast. So the beaches are accessible. Heaps of student accommodation. It's colourful. It's vibrant. Um, and if you're interested in those subject areas, like tourism and hospitality, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
The businessy areas, no-brainer. Health, it's a no-brainer. So for me, if I were an international student, and I get this question a lot, international
Mm.
students
Mm.
looking at the Griffith campuses, to me, personally, if you had a choice of campuses, Gold Coast to me is the go-to, just for that combination of uni plus lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, it does offer you what you said, that Gold Coast feeling and the lifestyle, but then it also has the additional things like the the athletics track,
Oh,
the swimming pool,
yes.
there's a beach volleyball court on campus. It's got all these extras. Yeah, it's you do get that excitement, that bit of that thrill, visiting the Gold Coast campus for sure.
So let's hone in on
Probably not as quiet as Nathan, but yeah, definitely the thrill. Yeah.
let's hone in on sport for a second. Last time I was on the
Mm.
Gold Coast campus last year, I went up to level 10 of I think it's the dentistry building, um, and
Yeah.
and I looked out at these freaking sports facilities, and I went,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? And I'd never seen it here before. And of course,
Yeah.
subsequently, like what Griffith is doing in the elite sports space is really
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Mm, mm.
Talk to me.
Yeah, we're actually yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you can read my shirt, but we're now the an official exclusive Australian university that's partnering with the AOC as the exclusive Australian Olympic Pathway University. So it's a partnership that's been formed with the AOC to support elite athletes competing in Olympic sports, and they're offering scholarships valued up to $40,000.
Brilliant.
So it's exciting. It's really um, I think it's going to create that nice leadway into the LA Olympics in 2028, and then of course we've got Brisbane 2032 coming up. So it's yeah, the support, and we've got our Griffith Sports College um, on campus. So if you're an elite athlete wanting that support, Griffith is definitely the university to be looking at. Fun fact, um, if Griffith was a country in the previous Commonwealth Games, then we would I think it was we would have come first or second was the fact there. So most of the so many of our athletes, Australian athletes, were actually Griffith alumni or current Griffith students. So Jess Fox, if you have seen her competing in the game, she's one of our current students.
What was that? Yeah, just wander into class
So
and there's
yeah,
Jess Fox. That's pretty wild.
yeah, yeah. So no, it's yeah. So no, it's exciting. It's so nice to see that partnership is
Yeah.
there, and elite athletes are being recognized and supported through their studies.
Yeah, yeah. And so 82 Olympians, including Emma McEwen and Cam McAvoy. Um,
Mm,
those are massive, massive names in Australian Olympic sport. And the facilities are absolutely phenomenal. So if you are an elite athlete, that
yeah.
those facilities, and once again, I think what's really important about elite sport and elite athletes um, is the flexibility in your studies
Mm,
to be able, so you can train, you can compete, but you're not going to kind of lose your place in your degrees and have all the extra pressure because of assignments and stuff like that. So an institution like Griffith really focused in on your entire journey as a human being, not just on like kicking you in the bum about your studies or pressuring you up about
mm.
your athletic performance. It's there as a sort of to support you on your journey.
Yeah, talking on, yeah, you're so right with what you said, and talking, just touching on flexibility there as well. Um, Griffith is a really, really flexible place to study. So whether that's from, having the option to start part-time and you know just start with one or two courses at a time. A full-time student does four courses at a time per trimester. We work in a trimester model per year, which means there's three teaching sessions a year. Um, Most of your learning will be done in trimester one and two, but then that trimester three is an optional time to study across Christmas and summer. So that if you either want to speed things up and complete an extra one or two subjects across that time you can, or if you're studying part time, it just allows you to study that in that steady pace and then just evenly pace yourself across the three trimesters across the year. So even if you are studying part time, you potentially could almost get that full time study load done, but you've done it over three trimesters instead of cramming full time study into two trimesters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. Look, there's actually a question that's come in. I can see that, and students asking about the different campuses. Sorry, I should have asked this just a moment ago. It's been
Mm,
sitting up there for a while, but just asking about the
yeah,
different flavour and the
yeah.
different feel. Like, does it still feel like one institution? And then also, can you uh, can you study across multiple campuses? So let's say you're studying at South Brisbane. Can you take a class up at South Bank if it's available, if that's one of the courses that sort of fits into a degree?
Yeah, so in answer to your first question, 100% there is there's no so students studying at different campuses, there's not a feeling that anyone is disconnected or different or separated from one another. It really has that atmosphere where Griffith is one, and that support flows right across all the campuses. Um, there may be that opportunity where you can study across different campuses, especially if there are electives that you're choosing within your degrees, which might only be available at a certain campus. Um, Generally, though, like for example, if you're wanting to study nursing, you would generally commit to one home campus. But yeah, there is opportunities where you can study between campuses. As I said, depending on electives or if courses are only offered at a certain campus. But 100% Griffith is one. We're just so fortunate that we've been able to spread our campuses throughout southeast Queensland
Yeah.
to help where students wherever they live.
There was another question around. This one actually came in advance, so we asked students in advance, registrants, if they had questions, and one did come in about pathways, and actually that's probably a good
Mm,
moment because you'd been talking about flexibility and admissions, and this person had asked, saying, or they made a comment to start with saying they're not sure if they're going to get the ATAR that they need to get into. Won't say which subject. Um, So just wondering if there are other options. I hear a lot about ATAR not being the only option to get into uni. Can you help?
Yeah, can I please just say that you definitely do not need to worry about either not getting the ATAR that you need, or in some cases, if you're studying in year 12 and you potentially might not be eligible for an ATAR and you're doing a vet pathway, um, we've got multiple ways to help you get into those programs. So um, ATAR, yes, is probably for many schools, for many Year 12 students, the main way that they're going to come to university or to Griffith. And by doing a Certificate 3, Certificate 4 diploma is also an excellent pathway option. So for anyone that doesn't aware of how the rankings work, so an ATAR being on a scale from 0 to 99.95, if you are completing a Cert 3, it'll give you a rank of 68. A Cert 4 is 74, and for Griffith, it'll give you a diploma will give you a rank of 87. So we have a what's called a
Awesome.
guaranteed admission scheme where depending on the vet qualifications that you've done at school, or it doesn't have to be at school, you might have done the vet qualifications after school, they'll actually get you guaranteed admission into a long list of degrees depending on which qualification you've done. If you don't have one of those and you do have your ATAR and you find yourself in a position where it's not meeting the minimum of the degree that you want to get into, then you can do what we call upgrading via university study, where you can perhaps get into another degree that might be relatable to what you want to study but has a lower entry rank. And then by studying, usually if a student was to study a year full time or 8 courses, and if they were to get that passing grade or a GPA, that will convert into an ATAR equivalent of a minimum 93 just by doing those 8 courses in something else. They might even provide some credit then to move once you then transition into the degree of your dreams. You might have done some similar subjects that can be crossed off as credit, but there's so many pathways like that we can help you through. It's always recommended when you're doing your QTAC preferences, put what you most want right up the top because you never really know what your ATAR will be, followed by your backup preferences that you might be preferred to work towards for a year to help boost that rank. So yeah, please don't be scared or worried about ATAR because we do have those pathway options. We've also got an exciting, fairly new preparation course that we offer called Empowered. And Empowered is a free program made up of 6 individual subjects, all geared in to support you, get you ready to build that confidence in your assignment writing, your learning strategies to do well at uni. So at the end of that, depending on what your overall grade is, you could end up with an ATAR equivalent rank between a 75 and an 86. Um, that being said as well though, no matter what your end grade is, if you at least pass, it also gets you direct entry into a long list of degrees where you simply do an internal application form to enter those degrees. So lots of pathways. We've also got our pathways to suit the veterans. We've got our direct veteran pathway, and we've also got our Gamari support team who help guide and support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students with pathways as well.
We're honing in on that just for a second. Indigenous students. So tell me a
Mm.
little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So Gamari is our team that's a support service for Indigenous students coming into Griffith. So if you uh, need that extra support, or you might not have, might not be meeting certain requirements for certain degrees, our Gamari support service can help guide and nurture and give you that support and advice to help get you into a clear pathway into those degrees. So very, it's just another thing another support option that Griffith prides itself on in helping to nurture those pathways for our Indigenous students.
What I'm hearing, Jamie,
Um,
and from you, and also what I know from the statistics is that so if you're somebody that comes from a background that maybe doesn't have an extensive connection to higher education. Like if your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents all went to uni.
Yep.
If you're a first in family,
Yep.
if you're from a regional or remote area, if you're First Nations, if you're from a lower socioeconomic area, Griffith
Yep.
is an institution that really represents you better than a lot of other institutions that you might be considering. And once again, we go all the way back to that DNA, right back at the start of this institution. It's kind of one of the reasons that the institution was set up. So that really should speak to you. And mate, just before I let you off the leash on the next point, but about
Hmm.
ATAR,
Yeah.
people think
Yeah.
ATAR is a fence or a barrier standing in their way.
Yes.
It's not a fence, it's a
Yep.
gate. Maybe
Yep.
that gate swings open for you first time. Maybe
Yep.
you just need to like cheekily go around the side. whether
Yeah.
that's going
Yeah.
into another degree, the TAFE pathway, I think is so smart. Like let's face
Yes.
it, Jamie. Like uni isn't cheap. If you're paying for everything
Mm,
yourself,
mm.
um, regardless of which uni you go to, it all costs the same no matter which uni you go to. Um,
Yep.
you're charged based on what you study, not where you study, with the exception of a
Hmm.
couple of private unis. But
Yep.
going to TAFE first, getting that hands-on experience, getting some subjects knocked off, then getting that entry, you
Mm.
getting on an 87 ATAR, you said, for a diploma. You've already got a
Yeah. Yep.
qualification. You're walking in possibly
Hmm.
into second year in a degree, and you've saved
Hmm.
a ton of
Yep.
money. That is just
Yep.
smart, smart, smart as far as I'm concerned. And lower risk for some people out there, right? It just lowers the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We've got a really strong relationship with TAFE as well, especially TAFE Queensland. So what we can offer those students coming in with a TAFE diploma is a direct application to us as well. So it just keeps it nice and simple and easy. And then, as you said, credit can be looked at depending on what you've studied and what you want to study at Griffith for that from that TAFE qualification. Um, One that comes to mind is that what you said, like um, a try before you buy sort of situation that I can think of that works really well is nursing because you might go along to TAFE and do a diploma of nursing, which then enables you to be an enrolled nurse. You can then apply for our 2-year bachelor degree in nursing and get the advanced standing, so it takes a year off your nursing degree, and then you can be working as an enrolled nurse getting some money casually part time while you're studying to be a registered nurse at Griffith. So it's just a nice, it's a nice transition then into upskilling and coming to university with a really good qualification that's gotten you some part time work along the way.
there, there, uh, there is no one fixed path. This is the thing after
No.
25 years in
Yeah.
higher education that I can tell you, hand on heart, is absolutely true. There
Mm.
is no such thing
Yeah.
as a typical path through uni because everybody has their
Hmm.
own story, and taking one of those alternative entry options, or if you get straight in and you find yourself halfway through, and you want to explore other options or you need some time out, like that's all fair play. Actually, Jamie, just to dive into
Yeah.
that, because one of the other things, let's talk
Mm-mm.
about social life, actually. Social life and
Yeah.
extracurricular opportunities at Griffith, because
Yeah.
I've had a fair bit to do with this over the years, like study abroad and exchange opportunities for students to go and have an international study experience as part of their degree. Like, tell me more
Yeah.
about that kind of stuff outside the class that people need to know about.
Yeah. So it's yeah exciting that it's available for one. It's spread right through all of our degrees now. So that work integrated learning with those industry partners, and that's what makes this the chance for us to move into the CBD, into that new city campus, so much richer as well. Is that we'll be so close to, the 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 law building. We'll be closer to those city industry partnerships and connections that we can offer more of this. You're right. There's Go Global, which enables students to study a subject abroad with one of our partnering institutions. There's there's work experience. There's so many opportunities where you're not just leaving university book smart, but you're leaving university with those skills that you're putting into practice, and you're building those networks, and you're creating that clear pathway then to into the next step once you've graduated, because you're working on those real life projects with those industry partners, especially just coming back to what you were saying about the South Bank campus. There's so many opportunities within that South Bank campus among the different cohorts and students where you might be a film student and you're looking for one of our music students to collaborate with you on a project, or there might be an art student that's needing to you know get um, something off the ground with the film school or another cohort. So there's so much collaboration happening there that it's the the amount of the amount of networks that you're able to build just goes beyond that classroom setting.
Career readiness is certainly a big thing that I've picked up on. I've been a number of times to the campus. I've actually sat through a session on the career readiness programs that Griffith is offering, and I was well impressed. I mean, whereas career readiness, every year we'll talk about this. They'll talk about employability and the importance of this sort of stuff. And I really think that Griffith walks walks the talk. Walks the talk. That's it.
Yeah.
I ain't just talking; they're walking it too. Like the opportunities to
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
get
No, you're right.
undertake real career readiness programs is really strong.
Yeah, you're right. We've got a careers and employment team as well that towards the end of the degree can help navigate that next step, whether that's with writing an application for a job or connecting students with those opportunities as well. Um, you don't necessarily want to be a student that doesn't have um, that support or doesn't you want to be that student to seek out that next step and to seek out those network opportunities and come out of your degree with not just a degree but that idea that I know where I'm going and I know that I'll be supported to get there. I think that's what really sets us apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's let's talk about scholarships for a moment. Um, and think about what kind of scholarships are available for students. Obviously, it's an interesting topic for many students, and maybe while I give you a moment to collect your thoughts on that, folks, if you're watching this, like go and look at what scholarships are available, whichever uni you're looking to. Like, hopefully it's Griffith, but if not, any university. Like, look at what scholarships are available because you would be stunned by how many scholarships and prizes don't get allocated at some institutions because people aren't applying for them. There's really generous funding all over the place. Let's talk about what sort of options are available, Jamie, at Griffith.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say that this is something that this is a conversation that we have every day with our prospective students and current students is to please apply for scholarships because as you said, the word scholarships sometimes in a lot of people's mind it feels like
Yeah.
it's something that
It's
that
elite
high
and it's
achievers
inaccessible. Like, oh
yeah
no, I didn't get a
it
99, so it's not for me. But it's
yeah
actually rubbish. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. We've got so many scholarships now that are available for so many different reasons that we've had to simplify it with one form. So instead of going through and applying for individual scholarships, we've made it easy by filling in one form, and then the scholarships team works out what you might be eligible for and lets you know. And this is money that if you do get a scholarship, this is money that goes directly to you to do what you want with, whether that's for food, accommodation, petrol. It's not you can pay your fees with it, but it's money that just goes direct to you. Um, to list some off the top of my head, we've got the Brighter Future Scholarships. So it's there to support undergraduate students who might demonstrate excellence in spite of adversity and educational disadvantage, financial hardship, educational disruption, disabilities. We've got our Vice Chancellor's Academic Achievement Scholarship. We've got our Chancellor's Scholarship, the Griffith Sports Excellence Scholarship. There's so many different scholarships now. And I think a lot of people, as we said, just don't realize what's out there, and therefore they discount it straight away and say, nope, not for me, and then you'll never ever know. Like there's so many scholarships out there that get untouched every year, when in fact it's money sitting there. So you should be applying, because you just never know what you might, what you might get. I'm just scrolling through the list of
And it's
scholarships
massive,
there
right?
now,
Like
and
it's massive. Yeah,
there's
yeah,
so many, and that's why we don't want you to do the scrolling. We don't want you to be working out what you might be eligible for and what you're not eligible for. So just simply fill in that one form, and then our scholarships team will do that hard work and let you know. The other thing as well, if you do get a scholarship, you can reapply for scholarships every year while you're a student at Griffith as well. So you're not just going to get one scholarship and then you're done, or maybe your situation changes from year to year, then you can reapply, and yeah, that's the advice. Please just fill in that form because you never know what you might be eligible for.
nice. While we're on the sort of scholarships, one of the ones you mentioned was the VC's Academic Excellence Scholarship. So this is for students who've done it
Mm.
academically really, really well. And I want to talk very quickly about something sideways from that, which is it used to be called Griffith Honours College, but now it's the Academy of Excellence, I think, off the top of my head. And it's basically that's for those kind of really high academic performers, correct?
That's correct. Yes. So that's for the Academy of Excellence is for the high performing high school students. So we can put a link in
In the
the
description.
chat or in the descriptions, but it's really there. So it'll it's aimed to increase your employability, expand your graduate opportunities, and gain a global perspective. So the Academy of Excellence students are encouraged to study, volunteer, or work overseas for a few weeks as well, which is really exciting. So you know, be distinctive and give yourself that best opportunity to succeed is what that Academy of Excellence is all about. So if you are wanting more information, there is a lot of information about the opportunities, on that webpage, that we can share in the links later on as well.
And like if you are an academic high performer, you must look at that wherever you are from. If you're from
100%.
somewhere in southeast Queensland, awesome. If you're from elsewhere, honestly, and this is like not coming from anything other than my 25 years of experience in the industry, that
Mm.
program is one of the standouts to me in all of Australia in terms of reaching out to high achieving academic achieving students and opening up doors that you didn't even know existed. So
Yeah.
please look into the Academy of Excellence. It really is a benchmark as far as I'm concerned in that space.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely one to look at.
Yeah, awesome. So now I'd kind of taken you away from what we've been talking a little bit about student experience and students like opportunities on campus that are extracurricular. We talked a little bit about study abroad and exchange. I haven't really sort of talked about clubs and societies and things like that, just sort of general student life. Do you want to give us a little bit of a run through on what sort of opportunities are available to students?
Yeah, definitely. There's so many clubs and societies, it's hard to list them all, but if you this could be another link that we can put in as well. But basically, you'll find clubs for pretty much anything at Griffith. If there's something that is not available, you can actually create your own club. But there's different clubs on different campuses. So whether that's the chocolate eating appreciation club, music clubs, sports clubs, there's I think a Quidditch club as well. There's so many different ways that you can extend that network and making friendships that's not just classroom based. So it's really, really encouraged if you're wanting that extra curricular activity as part of your experience at Griffith. Definitely encourage you to check out the clubs that are available. There's a whole website dedicated to through the clubs. So I'm just on the website now, I'll just have a look to see what other ones I haven't mentioned. There's a badminton club, baseball clubs. There's so many to list. There's a
Sport, cultural,
contemporary
drama.
Australian and
Yeah.
Indigenous art collective, cultural society, um, disability advocacy and empowerment society. So there's pretty much something there for everyone. Dodgeball club. This is where you can really get the fun of the fun side of university and have that bit of extra time to create those lifelong friendships as well.
Um, I'm glad you mentioned friendships. In fact, earlier in the expo, one of the very first sessions we did, it was called like, "What's uni all about anyway?" When we are choosing uni, we decided we wanted to run this event. We were just thinking, you know what? There's yeah, a lot of people don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So, don't know
Yeah.
what going to uni is even all about, what it's even really like. So I wanted to do a session on that. And interestingly enough, it was a great session with Jemima Dunn, who's an actress and a musician now living in London. And we ended up
Mhm.
talking, this won't surprise you, Jamie, because you talk with a lot of prospective students, but the number one fear people have is about like, will I make friends at university? And so if
Yeah.
and Jemima and I end up talking a lot about the kind of really actionable ways that you can make friends at uni and just kind of, I think smooth that out. So if you're concerned about making friends at uni, check that session out in the session catalogue. It's called What's Uni All About Anyway? And that conversation will put you at ease. But I know like Griffith has got, for example, there's orientation when you first start up, and then these other opportunities as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've actually got so we've got the orientation week. That's something that happens with all our programs. But we've also in the last couple of years found that um, that desire or need, as you said, not only to make friends but to feel ready once, especially if you're leaving school and you're first in family or it's it's something that you are worried about making friends and just feeling like you've got all your ducks in a row for the following year when you start. So we've got an event that we have each year now, right at the well towards the end of December, called Get Set.
Huh.
So we invite everyone along that might have got like an early offer, which is something we haven't mentioned yet. We might come back to that in a minute. The Year 12 early offer guarantee. So we invite them along for the day. They get to meet students that they'll be in their classes for the next year, so they're all in their different degrees, and they get to chat, have information sessions, they meet their teachers. So it's sort of like an orientation before orientation that's just designed for those Year 12 students that have received those early offers mainly. Um, they walk away from the day knowing that their enrollment's done, they can get their student card early, so then they can break up for the Christmas break, summer break, and know that it's all sorted for the following year, even before they get to orientation week. So yeah, that's our Get Set Day. So we have one on the Gold Coast and then one at our Nathan campus on 2 different days. But yeah, back to the Year 12 early offer scheme. So many of our degrees participate in early offer guarantee. So once their QTAC application goes in, if they've applied for an eligible degree, they can potentially get an offer from the final day, their last day of school, even before ATARs are released. So just going back to that fear of ATAR, it's really important if you are wanting to um, get rid of some of that fear that you apply nice and early when QTAC opens in August and September, and then QTAC will send you some information on uploading information or results from your school assessments, or depending what it other documents that they may need to upload that might make you eligible. And then yeah, you could get an early offer pretty much on your last day of school. And then you know you're right for the following year. If you're unsure if you want to accept that offer, you could conditionally accept it, move your QTAC preferences around, and then wait for your ATAR to be released and be considered in later offer rounds in January. But yeah, it's something certainly to look at if you are wanting to be considered early and get rid of some of that ATAR fear.
Can I just say, I think it's an awesome option. Some people might
Mm.
one of the things that I hear usually from people who've already been through the system, so they've already had it, they've already done their time.
Yeah,
But people saying
yeah,
like, oh, early offers just mean people slack off during the QC, during their final exams. And honestly, like
yeah,
that's a load of, well, maybe it's true a little bit, but in the end, it's
mm,
your life. And if
yeah,
that works for you, then you should do that. Whether your mum and dad are behind you saying like, "Oh, you gotta keep studying." Well, you know what? Like if that's what works for you, you do you. Like the beautiful thing about uni is that This is
Yeah.
your time to shine. If you're a high school
Mm.
student, this is your first time really making all the calls for yourself. So if you can go through the early offer scheme and make that easier on yourself, I don't think that's
Yeah.
bludging off. I think that's smart.
No. Yeah, yeah, it's smart. And yeah, 100%. You're right, Rob. It's smart because you know that you're in. You know, you've got your place. You know that you're right then for next year. You're not having to worry about your ATAR. Um, our advice is always, not to slacken off. Try and do your best
Yeah,
because you want to ultimately leave school with knowing that you've done the best you can. But you're right, it's smart. It's a smart way
pressure
about
off.
it because you've got your offer in the back
Yeah,
pocket, and then the stress is gone. Um, on that as well, and it's something we didn't talk about when we were talking about the fear of ATAR is what we're finding is well, and it's probably common to a lot of universities is that while you may not get the ATAR that you need at school, you'll often find once you come to uni and you're studying something that you love and enjoy and it's your passion, that you'll often do so much better at university than you perhaps might have done at school. So, I think that comes into that fear of my ATAR wasn't bad, was bad, or not as what I expected. So I might not be good at uni, but it's the opposite. You'll find your passion and you'll love. If you're loving what you're studying, the results show that you're inclined to do so much better than perhaps what you might have done at school.
I'm so glad you raised that, Jamie. I've got a great session on the last day
Mm.
of the expo. His name's Peter Nguyen. Nguyen.
Hmm.
He did dentistry, but he did a
Yeah.
Bachelor of Science because he didn't get the ATAR he needed to get into dentistry. Did a Bachelor of
Yeah.
Science before going on to do dentistry, and now he's a dentist and he's happy as a
Yeah.
dog with two tails. This bloke. He had
Yeah.
to work, but because he had all these other diverse experiences, that if he'd just gone straight in to dentistry,
Mm.
he wouldn't have actually made it like and had all these other diverse experiences. So I've spoken with Peter before, so that's why I know a bit of his story. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. So you can check that in the session catalogue if that speaks to you. But like
Yeah.
it's totally fair play. If you want to get into medicine, and you don't get the ATAR, start with biomed. Start by going in and doing a nursing degree where you're already doing some of the same sort of anatomy and other sorts of subjects to get you set up, and then make transition across. Uh, and mate, I just want to call out a couple of statistics. We're getting up close to
Mm.
time, and I can see like there's been questions coming through and they've been answered. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with where we're up to. But Griffith, like in Queensland, um, people obviously look to the big beasts down in St Lucia in terms of prestige. But Griffith University
Yeah.
is an absolutely world class institution. On the Times Higher Education ranking, it's in like the top 300 institutions globally. Just looking, I just can't even read my stats. Sorry, QS 268th,
Yeah.
which is the top couple of percent of
Yeah.
institutions worldwide. Times Higher Ed in the
Mm.
250 to 300 range. This is in like the very top tier of Australian institutions. So those are all good, but the one that stands out to me, Jamie, is in the Times Higher
Mm.
Education impact rankings. Griffith is
Yeah.
fourth in the world. And that's when we're talking
Yeah.
about things like climate, health, and inequality. This is an absolutely extraordinary number that tells you something really important about what Griffith is. It's an organisation that cares about the world and cares about people. So if that speaks to you in some way, fourth in the world on the Times Higher Ed impact rankings, I think that's something that just should automatically put it on, high up on the list for many people. And maybe just to jump into some of the fields of study, because there's so many fields of study at Griffith that I love, and once again that I think
Yeah.
if you're studying in South Brisbane, or you're studying in Perth, or you're
Mm.
studying in Punjab, and you're thinking about where you might want to go to study, if you're looking at hospitality, it's to me it's Griffith.
Yeah.
Criminology, also an exceptional criminology, social justice, anything in that space is unbelievable. The health sciences, nursing, I can't remember the nursing ranking. Nursing and midwifery is like second in Australia or something like that. It's phenomenal. Um,
Y-
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
No.
just ranting it.
Yeah.
Asian
Yeah. No.
business, if you're
Yeah.
interested in business, but you want to work in the Asia Pacific at some time. Like Griffith is the place. It's literally the place that you should be. It's been doing it longer than anyone else.
And just to go beyond, like beyond
The
those
plastics, yeah.
undergraduate
Mm.
programs, and I know that maybe for the audience watching, they're not at that point yet, but our MBA program, number one globally, 6 consecutive years for being highly rated, particularly in sustainability and responsible leadership. So it it's right, it's weaving its way, like these rankings are weaving right from those undergraduate, foundational programs right through to the postgrad programs as well. So if you're looking to have um, a pathway into those postgrad programs as well, once you're finished with your undergrad programs, it's you are setting yourself up to do really well in a globally highly ranked university.
I think we've had a pretty good wander through a lot of what Griffith has to offer, and of course, this is only a snapshot of all the amazing stuff that's on offer. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to throw in and add? Obviously, super excited about the new city centre campus coming online next year. Online, as I mean, just like switching on, becoming active.
Yep.
Not as
Yeah,
in
yeah.
being online. But anything else that you think we should touch on before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's important to get a feel for the universities yourself. So, if you're in between, campuses or not quite sure which campus you're wanting to study at, we've got lots of ways for you to engage with us. So you can book a free campus tour. That's definitely one way to explore the campuses in your own time. You can be buddied up with a current student ambassador in a studying in a course that you want to study as well. But not only that, our Creative Arts Open Day at Southbank is coming up on the 17th of May. So it's a really good opportunity. There'll
Excellent.
be a pop-up stall there that's showing more information about the city campus as well. And then we've got our open days at Nathan and Gold Coast coming up a little later in the year on the 9th of August. So all of these um, open days and chances to explore the campus, it's just given the number of campuses that we have and the differences and what we were talking about right at the beginning about the variations, it's just a nice way to really find your fit and work out which campus is right for you.
Actually, and I know those descriptions are down below, so jump down there. Do it now. Like, don't wait around. While we're wrapping up here, now's your chance just to jump on there, check out that open day, put it straight in your calendar, and register for it as well. That way, that's just another thing ticked off your to-do list, and I
Yeah,
feel good that I've helped
100%.
you
The
get one thing done
the
today.
other Yeah, exactly, exactly. No time like the present. The other thing that we offer is free 30-minute Q&A calls or video calls. So, which will be another link we can pop in as well. So, we can call you, do a video call. We can chat about applying. We can chat about the campuses, pathways, anything that you need in that 30 minutes. We're here to help support you through that application process, and just make sure that everything is in order to do the best you can with your application.
Brilliant. Jamie, look, it's been awesome to do this deep dive with you. Once again, I mean, I think Griffith is a university that punches above its weight. Not only for students in southeast Queensland, but from all across Australia. There are definitely students that just belong at Griffith. So thank you for taking the time to take us through so much about this incredible institution. You're lucky to work there.
Yeah, no, a pleasure. I'm extremely lucky, and I value every minute I work for Griffith. So yeah, if you're looking for that values-based, supportive university, and one that is so diverse with its campuses, then Griffith is definitely the place to study.
Uh, Lots more sessions, of course, part of the National Virtual Expo. This stuff is not only streaming live, if you've been joining us live, thanks for being here, but also on demand over the next couple of weeks. So check out the session catalogue down below. There are 85 sessions, not only about every university, but all of the peripheral stuff, the opportunities that university has to offer. We have sessions on pathways, accommodation, moving, etc. There's just tons of stuff. Jump down there and make sure you check out a couple more sessions as part of the virtual expo. It's been great having you as part of this session. Jamie, Williams from Griffith, thanks for joining me at the National Virtual Expo.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Well, I hope you got something out of this session. And if you have any questions at all, you can head to choosingyouruni.com and ask Lumen. Lumen is your AI guide who knows about every university, every pathway, every option that we've talked about throughout this virtual expo. And Lumen is available to talk to you 24/7. So it's ready when you are.